Guys, today we have the Walthers mainline SW1. This review took me took a little bit to get started because I had to get a special decoder for it. So I want to show you the decoder that I had to get for it. I bought two. I can use the decoder in anything. It has to go in this one, or I have to get this decoder to go in it. I bought a TCS DP5X. Here is the picture on the manual. It is a very, very small decoder that will just sit right on top of the board. It just plugs right into the 8 pins and will sit right there on top of the board. I have the second one here, you might can see it. No, alright, okay. You can't see it in that bag that TCS sends them in, but they're very, very small. And they are HO scale decoders, so it actually does fit in the locomotive. But the locomotive actually has an N-scale motor. If I could have it open, I would show you. But opening it's it's a little complicated, but so I'm gonna go ahead and unbox it and we can start with the review. It comes with a little bit of paperwork. I picked this up for $90. It comes with the Walthers mainline paperwork. In this, you just have it has instructions for DCC, and it has the complete parts breakdown here. And you can see up here the motor is very, very small, and it's using an actual N-scale motor instead of an HO, because after you put an HO motor in there, you wouldn't have any weight. So it was good on them to go ahead and use the N-scale motor. That was a major good job on their part. So now we actually have the model itself, which comes in this box, which is kind of dirty from sitting on the grass, and then it's also wrapped in plastic. It's a very nice locomotive. I mean, it's not detailed out completely, but it's still a very nice locomotive for the price. I mean, $90, you really can't beat that. And it ends up that it's a really good runner in general. Gotta turn on the light. And with the front light on, it's not picking up the green correctly, but there we go, that's what it is. I actually really like the color. It's very accurate to what it's supposed to be. Just to start, we have the logos, which you can probably clearly read from right where you're at, where you have the SW1 and the forward to mark the front. We have our toolbox up front, which is also a bench that a lot of people seem to sit on. And we also have our striping across the front here. We don't have any MU cables, but we do have a coupler lift. We do have a coupler lift bar that does not actually come up, but it's there. And we have our step boards, which are not see-through or anything fancy. We have all our grab irons, and they are very sturdy and on there very well. We have our nice steps that are not see-through, but they are there and they are very nice. We also have a gridded floor with texture, which is very nice. We don't have any grab irons that you would normally see right across the front here, but we do have our steam engine style rail across the nose. We have some very well marked doors that stand out enough to be correct, but not far enough that they don't look right. And we also have a crisp 79 logo on the front. So come along to the side of the model, we also have another crisp Burlington Northern decal. And that's about it for the back. Next we have the back of the model, which again is minimally detailed. But we do still have our coupler lift bar. And we also have the same textured floor, the same nice sturdy grab handrails, and grab irons coming up to the door. You can kind of see the wires on the inside. There is no interior in here, and there isn't anything fancy around the back. We also have our headlight with very crisp numbers right here on the side. Let's say the number 79, but unfortunately that does not light up. And of course it's going to have a lot of glare so you can't see it, but there we go. You should be able to see where it says 79 on the front. We also have metal couplers. They're not KDs per se. They are the Walthers remake of KDs, but they're basically the exact same as any KD coupler you would get. So I have very nicely detailed trucks with springs on the inside that are not actually operational springs, but they do look very nice. And then up towards the roof, we have our horn on the front. So have our exhaust stack and our bell. And then on the front we also have our headlight that also has the number 79 written on it very nicely. So that's about it as far as details. I want to go over operation. This locomotive operates like a switcher. I mean, I know that kind of sounds obvious, but the switcher is geared different from the road diesels. It has a slower gear ratio so that it does not move. Unlike the CF7, which has the road diesel high gear ratio, even though it's a switcher. The SW1 has the slow gear ratio and the fast stopping. Now, Walthers accurately captured this, and I'm not a big fan of it because it takes a lot of power to get the model to move, and that's not really good for the motor because the motor has to work harder to get it to move. And especially when you're putting an in-scale motor in a small locomotive, I don't think it was the best decision. But it does operate like a switcher, and it works very nicely. So we can go ahead and demonstrate that now. And I'm actually going to go ahead and show you it switching the yard after I get finished up here. I'll set up the camera over there, and we will watch it in action. But I have it programmed so that at CV1 it should be able to move. You can see that it's very shaky going in reverse because of the gear ratio. I'm not giving it a lot of power. Now forward it'll actually move a little bit quicker, and it actually runs better forward than it does in reverse. But as you can hear, it's a very smooth model. I'll let it come past. I'm going to give it 2 speed steps for reverse so that it works a little bit smoother. Maybe. And say 2 isn't even enough to get it to work smooth. I mean, I'm going to give it 5, and that's in reverse. Reverse is very different from forward. For some reason it works, because that's 5 speed steps in reverse, and I'm about to have it come through forward. You're going to see that it's much faster going forward than it is reverse. But I also have it set up to stop fairly quickly, because the real things it needs to stop quickly to switch cars, because you don't want to push the cars off the track or have to hit the bumpers, and then you might not want to couple up to a car. You might want to just push the car next to or close to the other car, but you might not want to couple. So it has to be, performance with this has to be a little bit more solid. You can't have the long braking rates like you would do with a road diesel. And then you may want to stop on uncouplers, and you want to stop hard so that you're right in a precise location. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the scale so that we can see how much it weighs, and then I'll go ahead and we will take it and review it, or we'll take it and we can see it in action. Oh, one thing I want to do before we do that is I want to go over the lights. So I'm going to put it back here so that we're looking directly at it. I want to make sure that the camera is pointed directly at the locomotive for this, because you are going to like this. If you're an LED person, you're really going to like this. So I'm going to shut off the lights. And I'm going to turn on the headlight. It has the brightest headlights I've ever seen on a model other than on a stock model. And it is the exact same story in reverse, so I'll turn it around so you can see it in reverse. And I mean, you can even tell the difference from on and off, because that's on and that's off. It's lighting up everything around it. And here is reverse. So, I like the headlights. I think they look pretty good. Some people don't. I mean, I understand people that don't like the seriously bright headlights, but I do. I think, I think it looks really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the scale set up, and we'll be over there in a second. All right, guys. So here is its weight in pounds. It is 0.584 pounds, and in grams, we have 264 grams. So it's fairly heavy for how big it is, but it's not really all that heavy. And for something that's only going to be moving 10 cars max, it doesn't need to weigh a lot, but it does still need to weigh enough to be able to move 10 or so cars, being that that is its job. So, I'm going to go ahead and run it around to my yard, and we're just going to move a few cars around and show you how much or how well it does that. So, I'll set up the camera. Alright, so here it is. Being the setup of my layout is not perfect, and I do not have the best. I don't have any bumpers or anything, so I gotta run the locomotive perfectly to get things to work. And if any mess up, I can start pushing cars off the track. So I'm gonna try my best not to do that. And we're just gonna move these cars up here, right up to the camera. I don't have automatic switches back here yet. I haven't actually gotten them wired, but I have plans to make them. I mean, you can see I have the wires running through holes and stuff, or actually, never mind, you can't, but does a very good job of moving at least these 3 cars that I have here for it to move. And I'm having success at stopping the cars before they're running off the track. So, it's worked very well. It does its job like it should. I mean, I have no serious complaints about it. Other than that, sometimes it loses power, and 2, it takes a lot. The only complaint I really have is that it's taking 15 speed steps for it to move that fast. And this is after I've set CV2 to a value of 60. So, and it's not the decoder, I know. It's got to be the locomotive, because it would do this DC as well. So, and that switch does not work exactly right a lot of the time, so forgive the fact that my layout is not perfect. And of course, yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid. I accidentally pushed the car off the track because it's taking so much power to get the locomotive to move properly. But other than that, it does perform very well. I'm going to play around with the CVs and see if I can get anything to work a little bit better. And it seems to be having a few little power drops as well, going over all of these switches. Like, sometimes it just doesn't want to go. I mean, you can hear my throttle giving commands, but it's not taking them sometimes, which I don't know exactly what that's about. But I know it's not exactly losing power because the headlight stays on. But other than that, it does operate very well, and as you can see, it did a mostly good job of moving these cars other than operator error, and I'm not very good at controlling as far as switching, and sometimes I tell it to go the wrong direction. So, I hope y'all enjoyed it. That's my review of the Walthers mainline SW1. I have to give it a rating as well. So overall, I think I give it a good 9. As far as operations, it has to get a 7 only because of the fact that it's taking so much power to get it to move. It's very quiet, very smooth running locomotive, but it's taking so much power that it's causing me to have difficulty switching. But other than that, as far as looks, it is what it is. It's a $90 model. I didn't expect it to be perfect and have every little detail, and it's what I expected for what I paid for. So, as far as looks, I give it a solid 10 as far as what it looks like. They captured the Burlington Northern Cascade Green very, very well, and they did a very good job on the lights as far as my book. As far as the electronics inside, they did a very good job on the motor. They used a Canon CAN motor, which is a very high-quality motor and works very well. They also used a 8-pin board style so that it's easy for me to DCC it, even though you have to have a special decoder for space issues. Putting a standard decoder in here is basically impossible because of your space issues. So I recommend any DP style decoder or any in-scale decoder. Most in-scale decoders, and I know almost every Z-scale decoder will fit. But any good 8-pin decoder that is very small would work very well. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'm out.